Hey everyone, John here from the Brewers podcast, and I'm back with another beer, a few beers in this case. We're doing something a little special today. We're doing some homebrew on the show. These are from Kyle Wells. He's been on the show before, and he's a longtime listener of Brewers, and he's also a homebrewer. He didn't say he didn't want me to do a video, but he gave me a couple bottles of a beer he just made that's basically his take on like Pliny the Elder. It's not a clone necessarily, but you know, it's his version of it. And he's kind of working on the recipe and tweaking it and stuff. Anyway, he gave me one bottle that was super fresh, and then another bottle that was bottled like a week later off of the keg, because he noticed some like aromatics drop off seemingly over that week from the kegged beer. So we've got those two beers on the show. I've already opened them up. I sampled them before I did this to make sure I actually wanted to do this. So yeah, this first beer is the bottle that he brewed, the beer that was bottled fresh, and then this in the LA Ale Works glass is the one that was a week later. So they're not going to be too different. Spoiler, I've already had them. But yeah, I thought it would be interesting to do this. And since it's a Pliny the Elder clone, I thought, why not try it with some actual Pliny the Elder? So I'm sure he does not want that, because Pliny is an awesome beer, and to compare homebrew to Pliny, like nothing against any homebrewers, but like Pliny is a pretty damn good beer. So I'm going to do it just for fun. So, but I'm going to tell you what I think about his beer first and foremost. So the color looks nice. It's got a slight haze to it, which is to be expected for a homebrew. Unless it's filtered. Got a nice fluffy white head on there. That looks really, really nice. Very similar to Pliny, I'd say, on the head and, you know, the fluffiness of it. The color, I'm assuming, looks close to Pliny. We'll find out here soon. But yeah, it looks very nice overall. So let's see what it smells like. Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily jump out of the glass like Pliny does. Although Pliny isn't like a huge like aromatic bomb. But this definitely has notes of like lemon and citrus. It's very citrus forward basically, but I noticed more of like a lemon edge to it, which is nice. It smells really good. You get some of that malt profile coming to, a very slight bready note on it, like, you know, not biscuity, but just more like white bread kind of thing. You smell like white bread. So it's overall, it smells pretty awesome. Like for a homebrew that is a take on Pliny, it smells good. Get some pine in there too. It's got that classic citrusy pine nose on that a lot of old school West Coast IPAs have. Not that Pliny is old school necessarily. It kind of transcends time when it comes to being old school. But it's yeah, it's got that pine citrus thing happening, which you know, I think he really kind of nailed it on this beer for the aroma. I know he was saying he wanted more aromatics out of it, and we were talking about that in our Discord chat. But for what this beer is, it smells great. So before I try it, I'm gonna see what the difference is on the aromatics with the one that's a week later. So again, this was bottled a week later after he thought that hops kind of, you know, the aromas kind of tapered off. So yeah, I mean, they smell pretty much the same. I mean, yeah, I might be getting a little bit less of that lemon character on this, like a little bit less of the citrus note, but I mean, it's hardly detectable. Like it's slightly less like lemony. I mean, if I were to mix these up and put them in the same glass, I don't know if I could tell the difference. Yeah, so as far as the aromatics dropping off, I don't think that was the case. It could just be, you know, since you have a whole keg of it and you're probably drinking it on a semi-normal basis, that you are thinking in your head, wow, this doesn't smell as hoppy as it did a week ago, when it probably still is, and it's fine. So that said, let's see what it tastes like. It's nice. I can't wait to compare this to actual Pliny. It's got a nice bitter edge to it. It's got ample bitterness, but it's not smacking you in the face. Really nice mouthfeel. It's nice and soft, and like the effervescence is really kind of light too. And just trying to remember what I know about Pliny, we'll find out here in a few minutes. I think Pliny's kind of similar. You get like a bready softness on the palate, and Yeah, this is along those same lines. Yeah, it's a very overall like bitterness. Like it doesn't linger too long after you swallow. Um, it's really nice. Like it's nicely balanced, I think, with the sweetness in the beer. I think it could maybe use more carbonation, but I mean, that's a minor thing. And yeah, other than that, for this beer being what it is, like it's really good. A lot of those same pine notes kind of come out on the flavor. I think you taste more of the malt profile on this. It's not malty or like sweet. It's not like an old school, Northwest IPA where it's like malt forward and super bitter. It's definitely, more in the background with the malt character, but still you can taste the malt character in it, which I like, and it works well with the citrusy hops and the mouthfeel. So overall, these are great beers. But now we're gonna have some fun and compare it to Pliny because why not? So I just picked this bottle up today. Actually, it's not super fresh. You usually see bottled on dates that are super fresh. This one was bottled on March 27th, so it's just over a month old, which should still be absolutely fine. So let's open this bad boy up. I hate this bottle opener. Yeah, this bottle opener you get from the brewery that has like the little teeth on it, no bueno. That thing sucks. It's good for like scraping wax off of bottles, which is why the brewery probably went with that. But for opening beers, I think it's kind of dangerous, to be honest. Okay, so right off the bat, that's pretty much crystal clear. Again, you can't, I'm not gonna say, oh, well, this is not clear, so it's not good. It's just fun. I just happen to have a bottle of Pliny, so why not? Got a nice fluffy white head on there, which compared to Kyle's beer, which the head's, it's kind of blown off at this point. They look pretty much the same. Kyle's it wasn't rocky or too fine. It was kind of in the middle, and this one's looking kind of the same way. So yeah, this just looks great. So see what it smells like. Interesting. So this has more of a grapefruit on the nose, where with Kyle's, I got more of that lemony character. Yeah. This is like, his was like a subdued, kind of soft lemony pine character, where this is definitely more impactful on the grapefruit. Like it smells compared to Kyle's like it was actually made with grapefruit. Yeah, it's got a nice tangy grapefruit aroma, which I find very interesting. Yeah, I don't remember Pliny being that grapefruit forward on the nose. That's kind of weird. But that's what I'm getting off it, like super massive grapefruit. A little bit of a pine note in there, but mostly just like citrus grapefruit. Comparing it to Kyle's beer with like the malt profile coming through on the nose, you're not getting that, I think, on this beer. This is pretty much all grapefruit and hops. It's not, jumping out of the glass, which is to be expected for Pliny. It's a very aromatic beer, but it's not like super like, dry hopped. But it's dry hopped or it's hopped enough to where, you do definitely get like a big aromatic nose on it. So let's see what it tastes like. Wow. Okay. Again. Wow. So the grapefruit is like straight on through, like on the flavor too, like smells and tastes like grapefruit, like citrus fruit. But as far as everything else goes, like with the soft mouthfeel and tasting the malts and like the malt profile and getting that kind of bread character from it, even like through the finish, I think this has more of a lingering bitterness, where Kyle's yeah, it's very similar on the mouthfeel and like the malt character. That's impressive, Kyle. Very good. Yeah, Pliny's still a damn good beer, man. But Kyle, if I brewed this, I'd be super proud of it. It's really good. And again, his question, which is, as a home brewer, I find this mysterious too. Like, you get beers like Pliny and like Union Jack from Firestone Walker, and then like hazies and stuff that, Monkish make and breweries like that have these super aromatic noses. And it's like, yeah, you just dry hop the shit out of it. And so they use like 4 pounds of hops per barrel. and you do the equivalent as a home brewer, which is maybe you're using 6 to 10 ounces for a dry hop, which is quite a bit for a 5-gallon batch, and you still don't get the same impact. And it's something that I've experienced too. And I've talked to brewers about it, and the Chris Woloski from Trustworthy Brewing was the first one that told me something that wasn't like mysterious, like, yeah, I just put a lot of hops in it and it does its thing and bingo bango. No, it's not that easy. What Chris said is basically you want to seal up your fermenter when you're dry hopping. So obviously when you're, fermenting the beer, you have blow off because the CO2 has to come out of solution while it's fermenting. But once the primary is done, you basically want to cap that fermenter and put your hops in there and never let any anything escape from there. So from when it's in the fermenter, when you dump the hops, and then to packaging, you want to keep it away from open air as much as possible, because you want to keep as much of that hop profile that you get for the aromatics in the beer. And I think that's important, especially for someone like me. I get impatient on the last mile. So like I'm really good about, I know how to brew, I know how to ferment and monitor and everything's nice and clean and well done. But then I get to kegging, and what I do is like, oh, I cannot wait to drink this beer. So I'll keg it, crank up the pressure on the CO2 to 30 PSI, roll it around for a couple minutes, and then let it sit for a half hour. And that's one way to carbonate beer. But then where I would always make the mistake, and I haven't tried without doing this yet, is I would basically do that, and then you have 30 pounds of pressure inside of that keg, and you can't obviously serve it with that much pressure because it's just going to shoot out of the faucet. So I would blow off the CO2. Well, when you're blowing off that excess CO2 in there, you're also letting all of those aromatics escape. So I think that's important too as a home brewer and the next time I brew, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to be patient and let it, carbonate over a week. Like, set it for however many, pounds of pressure to get the proper volume of CO2 inside the beer, and just let it do its thing, because there's no point in rushing it if you're just going to blow off all the aromatics. And I think that's an important part of it, is keeping everything in as, in the vessel as much as you can, and not letting anything escape for aromatics. So if you guys have other techniques for doing this as home brewers, feel free to chime in the comments, because I'm with you, Kyle. I have the same issue a lot of times where, I'll put tons of dry hop in there, and it's like you expect to get so much more bang for your buck, and you don't. But that was kind of long-winded and tangential. But yeah, like I said, Kyle, I'm not trying to compare you to Russian River, but I thought it was interesting to try your clone up next to actual Pliny. So it's pretty damn good though, Kyle. Well done. So thanks for watching another video. We'll see you next time.